Welcome to Oye Dimelo Cinema Club. Tonight, I will be the host. I am Don Dino Espesini, and I'm here with my favorite Sanchos. We have this guy, Mr. Jason Eccles. Then we have JP, my other Sancho. And finally, we have Steve Dez, the Sancho with the mostest. All right. So for today we start, I believe. No, we started last week with movies from the 70s. And my pick was Network. I've never seen Network before. It's from 1976. Faye Dunaway is in it. Robert Duvall is in it. Even Ned Beatty, I think Beatty is in it. He just passed away. Rest in peace. Anyway, so I had never seen it, but it kept coming up. It's one of those movies that just kept nudging me. Like it kept coming up in conversation. It kept coming up in like I kept hearing it also in different rap songs. Other directors and writers have talked about it. It's kind of like if you've seen West Wing, if Sorkin has talked about it. It just kept coming up all the time on just like you got to watch it, especially with how the news media is going on and all that, and how news has evolved and cable news and all that kind of crap. So I decided this is it. I've been wanting to watch it, especially like the past few years, and what better time than now? So that's why I picked it. And before I give my initial thoughts on it, I'll pass it on to JP. What was your initial thoughts?
Well, knowing that it was a satire and like this film is really popular in like pop culture, so this is the first time that I got to get the references that I've seen in other movies and stuff. So my initial thought is like, I was actually surprised at how serious the film was. Like, yes, it is a satire. There are a few like jokes, but most of the joke is more dark humor and like, just reflective upon like, oh, look at this fucking mirror. People, you fucking stop looking at the mirror. But like, I don't know, it was at times I thought story-wise, I felt that I did not know where the plot was going a few times, and the part of me was wondering, like, was this intentional, or did the screenwriter not know how to end the film? Because the way that they end the film, like, it's great, but it does seem, for me at least, a little out of nowhere and almost like a cheat out. And there's a few plots in the subplots that I felt the film could have done without, and they should have focused more. Okay. Other things, but my initial thought is like, it's so weird because like it was a satire back then, but a lot of the shit that they talk about is reality today. So it was definitely an interesting watch, and it's weird because like I wasn't necessarily entertained or rolling on the fucking floor, but it was an interesting watch. I actually did enjoy this one.
Okay. Nice. I definitely want to go back at some point to your thought on like thinking that the end was a cop out and other plot points for sure. How about you? Initial thoughts? You've seen it before, correct?
Yes, I've seen the movie. This is my third viewing, and
Ooh,
I will say,
special.
Yeah, and I will say that this movie gets better every time I watch it. I was like, wow, this is actually. Because you don't really remember it every time, you know what I mean? It's like you miss details if it's been some years in between seeing it, and you're like, oh man, every time I watch this, it gets better and better. The character development changes, like I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I kind of understand their choices. That was what I was thinking of my initial thought. So this might be one of those frameworks where the story changes meaning for you a little bit depending on where you are in your life. I mean, I think it's written really well. Really, really well. I would say that this thing was... when I was watching it, I said the breath of it smells like P.T. Anderson and Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
They just stink of this movie. Like it's all over their work. Like when I watch it now, but I have a better frame of reference because I've seen more of their work now,
For sure.
Yeah, but you can see it. I can smell it. So those were my initial thoughts. I still like it even more now.
Nice. Steve?
My initial thoughts and first impression is this movie sucked. No, I'm kidding. This honestly, like hands down, this has been one of the best films I ever watched. And I'm not joking.
Whoa!
Because I really feel like just the length that they went on dialogue alone, just on dialogue. It's insane. Like I wish movies these days can have this freedom. Because this movie, like I'm definitely watching it a second time, maybe a third time, maybe a fourth time, who knows? But this movie honestly has never been on my radar. Thank you, Dino, for picking it. If it was really done by satire, which I really don't think that, I believe this movie has extremely strong points of all like the underweaving that's like in the corporate pulpit, I guess, of America and business and corporations and how they try to program people and all this stuff. Because for the longest time, even there was a moment in my life, I remember in 2014 or so, that I was like, why am I auditioning for these commercials and like getting whatever money to endorse with my image this food brand to then program other people to go get it and stuff like that. And then I started kind of unraveling the whole like Hollywood thing. And this movie really spoke to me. I really enjoyed it. I think they took incredible risks in this movie, from acting to the writing. Just there's so much in this movie that honestly, one of the best films that I ever watched. That's my initial thoughts.
Oh, wow. High praise. My initial thought, I loved it. I really enjoyed the movie. Again, I'm a big fan of the TV show The Newsroom. Not so long ago, also, I watched a bunch of The West Wing. So clearly it's right there, kind of with that kind of same mentality, same framework. So watching this, I enjoyed it. I love Robert Duvall. Like, I think he's great. He hasn't been canceled yet, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I never know anymore. Faye Dunaway, has she been canceled? Okay, Faye Dunaway is in it. You were talking about how well written it was and all that. Each character has at least one amazing monologue. Mm-hmm. Like, each main character has at least one amazing monologue. Like, it's, and Faye Dunaway's character, which you think, being 70s and in the TV newsroom kind of thing, and she's a woman, like, she was kick-ass. You know what I mean? It could have very easily been her character just kind of fall into like a stereotype, but like it went beyond that. So I was just impressed. I feel like this is almost like a master class on like dialogue and bringing things back. That's why I'm really interested in kind of hearing about what JP thinks of things that were maybe dropped later on, because so much of what they were seeing, such small little details towards the beginning of the movie, came back, right? And sometimes multiple times, which I think just helped improve it. So
you got to have a sharp ear while you're watching this thing. It makes you tune in and really focus.
There's a lot of foreshadowing for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, we all got our first impressions. I would like to ask you guys: do you have a favorite character? The one that really, to me, I'll start with this one, just because it's kind of current or whatever. Robert Duvall's character to me just felt like Rudy Giuliani before Rudy Giuliani. Like,
fucking crazy.
God,
real strong Rudy vibes. As soon as he said it, I was like, "Oh my God, you're right." It's like Rudy Giuliani is trying to model himself after this guy.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
So anyway, Robert Duvall, I think, and his outfit. He was half the movie. He's in a tuxedo which I just loved because it was a 70s tux and the cut and the ruffle and like even the ruffle, like, yeah, Robert Duvall, I'd go with him with just, I mean, he's had such great, and they're secondary characters. I mean, you got him in The Godfather, then you got him in this, and
dare I say, when I was watching this, at a certain point, I was like, this is kind of up there with The Godfather.
yeah, his performance for sure.
I meant the movie.
Yeah, okay.
But his performance for sure, he's just as good in this as he is in The Godfather.
Oh,
just as good.
So anyway, that's my one of my top characters in the film for sure. Steve, do you have one?
I found myself switching. So at first, I really like that woman that was like just eager to like really like turn the television into something amazing and stuff. But then later, as her character goes, I kind of faded away from her character because then she goes into her own like madness and stuff.
That's Faye Dunaway's character. Yeah.
Okay, then that one. Then the other character I liked, but it was very brief, is the wife of the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Because she literally just like hits it on the nose. Like you're off to like a lot of regret or despair, or whatever the word she used. And it's just like, wow, look at this dialogue, man.
Yeah.
Like, in like such a short period of time, they give you so much information, like so much stuff. And then the other character that I really like, and these are like very minor-ish characters, is the dude. Like it's towards like the final scenes-ish that the guy, the dude from the show, I don't know the characters by name, sorry, but the dude from the show is like sitting down, and he's talking to a guy across the room. And the guy's basically telling him, hey, there's no races. There's no this and that. It's all about money. Like, it's a huge...
Ned Beatty's character, the owner of CCA. It's he gets a huge monologue also in the conference room
with that lighting.
Oh,
that lighting, the setup, the cinematography.
I told him what a power move in the 70s, and you got a electric curtain that you just like click and it closes the windows and all the lighting is just coming at you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
total power move.
Yeah, people that had like 3 scenes, maybe like because characters that you just pointed out, the wife and Ned Beatty only appeared like 2 or 3 times, and they each had really strong monologues, really poignant.
Yeah, those were my favorite.
And yeah, Ned Beatty's monologue is that's in a lot of rap songs. It's sampled in a lot of, there are no countries, there are no this type of thing, for sure. Definitely Immortal Technique for anyone who has listened to Immortal Technique. Check him out. Cool. Any other characters? I know you said you kind of jumped back and forth. Basically, you went from great monologue to great monologue to like great monologue of just like who you enjoy.
It captivated me, man, because especially movies these days, they just really focus on like the main 2 characters or whatever it is. And this movie really felt like an ensemble effort, and everybody had their moment. Everybody was shining at every given point. Even my people were represented. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had a couple representations out there, people of color.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. There were some people of color in the movie. That was refreshing. I'm like, good that people are represented in this thing.
Even a strong black female character that
very
wasn't
strong black
take,
female character. And though very serious but very funny. You know what I mean? Because of like the absurdity of all of it. It's just terrific. I think I identified most with not identify with, but the character I kind of had my eye on the most was Faye Dunaway. Her character, she was fantastic, and the whole time I was thinking, this can easily fall into like caricature. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is a woman. This is what's going to happen to her plot line. You know, she's going to have to helplessly fall in love with the guy, and it's like, no, she's not that. She's flawed. She's as flawed as everybody else in this thing, and you know, for a moment I thought maybe like, oh, she's about to get hysterical, but like, no, like she's stressed out. Like they laid the groundwork for this. You know what I mean? Like she earned this. If it was a male character, it'd be the same way. It's like, it's just dope. I just felt like the movie was very equal and strong, and just yeah, it was. And she kind of made it that way for me, because I'm like, man, like even super strong lead for this woman, and Faye Dunaway's incredible in it. She's so good. Like she's incredible. It's like better than His Girl Friday, maybe. But it's like just all the rapid fire dialogue, and they're just in it, and just like they're living in this world in hyper speed, because that's how fast the news has to move. So you know they live at a faster speed than the rest of us, and so they have to think sharper, longer, and it just all that's represented. You know, movies like The Big Short kind of copy that, and
for sure.
What's the other one with the a Bombshell? The one that's about Fox News. I was like,
even Spotlight.
Spotlight. I was thinking Spotlight.
Can I just say of Faye Dunaway, that might be up there, top 3 female orgasm in a movie. Of right there, with Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Of just like an orgasm on screen.
She wasn't lying. She told him, she was, look, this is how it is with me.
Like even that came back, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's."
But that's how you know the rest of it is true.
Yeah, that's literally what she said, and that like it was so great. Like that, it just felt so different. Like you don't, like, that even that sex scene. It's just like she couldn't turn it off. It
was great.
Yeah,
what a great performance.
So true to her character.
Did you win an Oscar for this movie?
I don't know. I didn't end up. I didn't end up checking all the awards or anything. All right, JP. JP's the hater of the day, I guess.
Oh my gosh!
So, were there any characters that you?
I liked the movie. I did have a few issues with it, but like, I did like the side characters. I wish that we saw more of them from the whole show, but we only get to like see more of the two political leaders of the two different communist parties. That was always great, seeing them to headbutt, especially when it came to like who was right. Because it's funny because in our view they're both extremists, but it's like wait, no, we may be, but we're not the other person. Now come on, right. I liked the banter between those two and the power struggle with that. But like I guess my favorite character in the movie is one that I kind of wish had more screen time to was Howard Beale, because I was like entranced in like his slow descent to madness, because like well, it wasn't that slow, it was pretty darn quick. But because it at first it does seem like an awakening, and then suddenly he becomes like this weird, like he suddenly gets into the whole idea like, no, wait, I am the angry prophet. And then suddenly you're like, oh shit, he drank his own fucking Kool-Aid. I kind of wanted to see more of that being dissected, because like I enjoyed every time that he was on screen, and his commitment to just like put the button just falling down, and how even the network ate that shit. I was like, no, like that guy literally just passed the fuck out. Go help him. I was like, no, that's the money right there. That's the money maker. And of course, once he finally gets spoiler alert, like what, a dozen lead pellets into his body. It's like, oh, there's the button again. That's the money maker.
Say it, murked. Right? You must say murked.
Murked.
So interesting, because for me, Beale.
Can I just put this out there real quick? Because before we get off of characters or whatever, the Beatrice Straight, the woman who plays the news reporter's wife, she won Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. She had one scene.
She deserved it. That scene was
she got 2 or 3, because when they opened the window to hear that everyone's
right. I mean, but
she's
but that monologue is so incredible.
She must be up there with person for at least amount.
Fastest screen time. Yeah, she might be. She might be.
Yeah, it's Judi Dench and Anthony Hopkins and probably her and someone
Jack
else.
Nicholson.
Yeah. So Beale to me was my most conflicted character because I felt he was the biggest caricature. But that's why I thought it was so good seeing more of everyone else. Because you would think it would be about him, but no, it's actually about, like when there are people like him or that situation and how everyone else around it kind of tries to profit or take advantage of the situation. So I thought he was the most caricature of all the characters, and I was like okay with it because it allowed the satire to that was the one part where it was really hammed up, and and it really allowed for a satire to go over the top. So interesting that you would want to see more of him, because I feel that would be easy. It would be easy seeing the angry prophet, which we definitely I feel like see more of now, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's Bill O'Reilly or any of those kind of people,
like an Alex Jones type guy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. So now let's.
And this is before there was talking heads like on TV.
Right.
This is before.
Right. This was fucking scary.
This actually was sort of cable when you think about it, because they had news on like all day.
Yeah.
There was no news on all day things. Like they would come in between shows.
And that was interesting because they were talking about you had news and then you had regular programming, right? Like news was its own thing, and that's one of those things where it starts to break apart, or regular programming starts to eat the news department up, and that's that it's interesting again because the next thing I wanted to go is into foreshadowing, and not just foreshadowing in the movie, but so it's a double header, guys. One, what were things that you liked of foreshadowing at the beginning of the movie that came back in later parts of the movie? And what do you think this movie foreshadowed of today news or TV or social media, if you will? So it's a double header.
Got you. I'll try to take a swing at it. I'm not gonna lie though, it's gonna be difficult for me to, like, story wise, to be quite honest. I don't remember that many foreshadowing story wise in the movie, other than the Faye Dunaway, her explaining that, oh, well, men don't like me because I'm dominant and like I'm pretty quick like a man. Like she definitely was in that scene. But oh my gosh, it was crazy how like the whole them trying to debate like the integrity of news, and like no like the news is pure, we must just give it the straight facts. And even in its like today, how we see it in its purest form, it's not even that real, to be honest, because most news today is like, it's not really news, it's people telling you facts and then commenting about it, part of that commentary thing. And then you got Howard, the character of Howard, like basically how you see like they mentioned Billy Graham, and that's also pretty tame. It's by today's standards. Like you got Alex Jones, Bill O'Reilly, Tucker Carlson, but they're fucking yelling heads on the TV screen. But like in this film was almost to the nth degree. But
I don't like what they're doing to America,
right?
Well, you would think it's just Stephen Colbert, right? Like his
right, yeah,
character from the Daily Show. Yeah,
but no, it's like it was nuts. Like seeing how back then that to them that seemed extreme, but like that's pretty much the norm today.
Oh yeah.
So it was hard to be shocked with the movie. It was like, that actually is how it is.
Nice. All right, Steve.
Uh, for me, I would say the literal beginning and the literal ending of the movie was fascinating to me because I love movies that can do that. Literally, the beginning they can take you back in the end and like present you almost the exact same thing and be like, oh, now it makes even more sense, you know.
Do you think
And
it helped because there was a narrator throughout?
uh, the narrator thing was a touch to it to kind of leave it in like a happy note, I guess. But to me, it was more about the visual of it, like with the different screens and stuff like that, and how it would change into different programming and things like that. We can talk about that a little further because I know that's like getting into the end. But and also all the times that the guy, because he was constantly doing it, and then we get the payoff at the end, which is the actual every time he will go on this big rant of like, everybody send your telegrams to the White House or
Yeah.
whatever it was, he will faint like at the very end.
James Brown style.
Yeah, and throughout like the first time it happened, even I was like in my head like, oh, why is this dude fainting and stuff, but as you go by and you get all the acts, then you get, oh, okay, this is foreshadow for this one thing. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I at first I thought like, oh man, he's got health concerns. This dude is about to die, and they're just going to let it happen. But then you realize like he's just spent because like whatever was moving through him is done, and he's just like, I'm
That's
useless.
Why, that's why I said James Brown, right?
He only felt alive when he felt he could get the message out. You know what I mean? Like he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's kind of like that. Basically, like that scene that one lady, the main lady, was telling him that she talked to some like spiritual person
Yeah.
that basically like embodies and channels the message, and basically that's what kind of he was doing in a way.
who said that?
Faye Dunaway.
She said it when?
Because she kept bringing up the psychic lady and kind of
Oh,
like how
yeah.
certain people, and then even when they were talking about trying to replace him, they were, they kept pitching people that, get kind of entrances and stuff like that.
Yeah, all these little sub stories and stuff. Just really good fucking writing. God damn it.
So yeah, for you, foreshadowing in the movie, and I guess
You're asking me about
Yeah.
foreshadowing?
Yeah. Do you have any specific moments or
Of a foreshadow situation?
Yeah, from the movie or just the movie compared to reality?
Well, yeah, there's foreshadows and callbacks all over the place. Like the beginning. How about the intro of the movie for starters? Like the intro of the film is incredible. Like watching it, I'm like, oh, this is like right up there with anything. You know what I mean? Especially for the tone of this movie. They start off with two guys on the street, drunk, news reporters. You get all that in like the first conversation, and then they jump straight into a monologue. And the monologue is the joke that he ends up telling on his last day amongst all the employees.
What a great story, man! What a great, really great story. Like,
it's like he foreshadowed the whole thing that's about to go down. It was like a foretelling, like, so let me tell you, like, the beginning of my career, I was whatever, and then it's like that was like his first day at work or first something at work, like his first week at work or first year,
something like that.
Anyway, and then it's like he's telling the story. He's telling, huh?
I was like, you're still young, don't do it.
Yeah, and he's telling a story about like his first day at work, kind of on his last day at work, and they foreshadowed that like in the very beginning. So I mean that was cool, or maybe that, yeah.
Well, it's great with that was even. Have I told you this story? Have I heard it? And you're like, no. And then, and so I'm like, okay, how many times has he told this story? Because
he tells this story. Yeah. What was the other question?
Oh, just like foreshadowing in the movie, or the movie that foreshadowed, I guess, our current reality, or
all the grim and death and stuff on TV they were selling, like that's when I was like, man, this is today.
And that was at the very beginning already.
Yeah, like they were selling some grim stuff to the American people. And I'm like, this is no different than today. And back then it was like probably laughable, but I also feel like you sort of see it coming.
How great yeah, so with foreshadowing of that, we can also even say that he was going viral before viral was a thing, right? And it was so cool, like seeing just the scene where he opens the window to hear, it's like, what are you doing? And the daughter is like, I just want to see if anyone's actually going to do it, and she opens the window, and that's where everyone starts yelling. And then I thought of the freaking commercials. I'm angry and I want my money now. That used to come and and that was right when I moved to the U.S. And I was like, these commercials are crazy.
Yeah.
And they're all just coming out of the windows and yelling. And now I see this and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, so that was going viral.
That's
right?
the best scene in the whole movie, by the way.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, when he goes on that rant. And then everyone opens their window to yell, and they're like, they're yelling in New Orleans. They're yelling in
Bro,
San Francisco.
I'm not even gonna lie. When that scene came up, even I wanted to scream that.
I know.
Hell yeah.
And it would have been weird in Colombia if someone just like, oh, here's all of a sudden, I'm angry, and I don't.
But like, people have been feeling like that for so long, and that's how you get a 2020.
Yeah, and Twitter is the window at this point, or social media is the window. Everyone has their own window that's connected to everyone else, and so I thought that was a huge foreshadowing of someone that has a microphone and people can see them able to command a force of just like minions, if you will, right?
Yeah,
and how easily it can shift and change. And of course, there's always the money involved with that. Cool. Okay, I guess let's talk about the ending real quick, especially since, JP had kind of mentioned that first. Also, I'll just start with, I'm surprised that this ending hasn't been ruined before. Like, for it being such a movie that's talked about and referenced here and there, I'm surprised it hasn't been ruined. And so I was happy that I was able to watch it. And then at the end, I mean, you kind of see it coming, but I'm always like, is that actually going to happen? And so when I did, I was surprised. But JP, since you at the beginning said you had an issue with the ending, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and then we'll jump in.
Awesome. Well, I guess for me, while watching the movie, I assumed that his "I'm mad as hell" line, since that's so iconic, I thought that was how the film ended. So that was a surprise for me that came up kind of pretty early in the film. But for me, near the ending, it was funny because I wish Michaela was here, because I did tell her this while we were watching it. I was like, where is this movie gonna go? Where else can they go to after the scene where he's confronted by Ned Beatty's character, the owner, saying there is no race, there's only money, and don't fucking and then he plays his game and he repeats the lines that Howard heard in his mind. Now he's playing as God, and his temperament ends up going a bit more lower. So, then the ratings starts to lower because he's not as loud or as angry anymore. And we also kind of had the resolution with the romance between Max and Diane, which I'm not gonna lie, that was one of the things I thought we had because less time on. I thought it was so weird whenever they brought up the whole analogy of where are we in this script, because I was wondering is this also the screenwriter talking about his script? Where are we going with this script? Where are we how are we gonna end and whatnot? So I was shocked when it was literally, because I was thinking to myself when I was asking the kids, how is this gonna end? Because I don't know where else they can go with this. And it's straight up, murder. Like, let's kill the poor bastard. He was gonna kill himself anyways. Like, that's their only resolution, and everybody was fucking chill with it. I was so taken aback at how chill everybody was, and I thought, well, that's kind of cheating. Like, this is how
No,
we're gonna
you know why I will say no
fucking
to that?
assassinating the guy.
You know why I'll say no to that?
Mhm.
Is because those are conversations that are had, right? That they constantly say, like, you know, kind of like when Michael Jackson or whatever died or whatever, it's like now they're worth more money. And even in a movie like Tropic Thunder, they kept making, you know, whoever Tom Cruise was playing, and they had that conversation about Ben Stiller's character of kind of like, oh, he'll make more money if he's dead, which, if I'm not mistaken, was a reference to some producer talking about Tom Cruise at the time and the Mission Impossible movies. So I'm just like, well, it's like no point in making another movie because it's not making money. He would make more money for us if he were dead, and we could, you know. So
Yeah.
that's why I say, like, you know what? No, like, if producers and heads of the, you know, whatever, if Weinsteins of the world had their ways, they would just kill their talent. The minute it wasn't making money, they would kill their talent.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why I was like, no, you know what? I was happily surprised when it ended that way. And it was very abrupt. Because I was like,
Because even during their talking, like just planning out the assassination, I thought it was a great use of, you know, like cutting to like, oh, like while they're talking, we're also cutting back to the in future time,
yeah,
you know, when the assassination and how it's gonna play out.
yeah.
So for me, it's like I thought it was so fucking quick, and I wish I was that there was more of a hesitancy or more of us to like just taking a breather instead. It's like, oh wait, this is where this movie's going.
No,
So, that was my thing with it.
I know Steve was raising his hand because, yeah.
Yeah, so to me, this is how I see it. So I see it more of like corporation overall and then the people, right? This guy realized, yo, I have power because I have this little box where I communicate with millions of people and I can actually deliver a message rather than just read the BS that they give me. So at first, hey, I'm going to kill myself. And all of a sudden, more attention goes to it.
Right.
Then, oh, we're angry. We're mad. Oh, cool. Keep doing that. It's bringing ratings. It's bringing things. Oh, send telegrams to the White House. Yeah, of course. Make a movement out of it. But the moment he started fucking with them, with their money and going like, the Saudis are taking over, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Now, the suits, the people behind the scenes, they're like, yo, we got to kill this guy because he's being too much. And at the end of the day, we can sweep it under the rug. It's just TV. We give them more infomercials, more TV. People will forget about it. We have the control at the end of the day. And to me, it felt like that. Like at the end of the day, when you get so close to truth that the gatekeepers don't want you to transmit that message, that's what happens. You get murked. Look at Malcolm X. Look at MLK. Look at so many truth leaders out there that were trying to spread a message, and all of a sudden, bam, murked. John F. Kennedy. Bunch of people. So that's what, to me, it looked like, and for me was a super appropriate like ending. Besides the tad bit of the narrator, but again, that's just to put a little sprinkle of happiness in a way to it. But just the image of it all, and then at the end, like switching the screens and all this stuff, it's literally that. Like, hey, we're gonna show you shock and awe, but then we're gonna confuse you again, so you're not even thinking about it and forget about it, and now you're up to the next thing. And that's kind of what happens with like news cycles today too. Is like we're on a movement or on a something, whatever, a week, and then the next week we forgot about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I did really like because like I had to turn on the captions at the end, and I'm sure that was intentional. Where it's like you're hearing the other news talking about what just happened, but then you're being muffled by just fucking commercials. Buy this, buy that. I was like, damn, like I want to fucking hear what they're saying. But I'm sure that was intentional as well. That last shot was pretty good.
Well, I would have said something totally different before I heard all of you gentlemen speak. I was more leaning toward JP. It always did feel abrupt to me too. It's felt abrupt to me every time. To be honest with you, it almost feels like it's another movie. It's another tone, you know, because it's so casual. But then after listening to you guys talk, I realized after that whirlwind of conversation and dialogue, I kind of lean with what Steve was saying, you know, with all that stuff that was going on, especially in 76, you know, there's a lot of assassinations right before this movie came out, you know? And so there's some sort of expression there with these, you know, leaders being popped. And then also
a lot of dirty money.
You know, people are sort of, you know, people are upset with America coming up. Vietnam had just ended, you know, when this movie came out. You know, people are pretty upset. So I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. There's a lot of disenchantment with America in 76. Now, top all of that off with they're trying to present like this messianic complex. Sidney Lumet is like trying to, because this guy's a prophet. And everybody's totally cool with the prophet if you can aim him in your direction. If you can just sort of aim the prophet, because the prophet, for whatever reason, is truly speaking to the people because so many people are listening. So the prophet's tapping into something that's there. And this guy knows how to do it week in and week out. But if you can't aim him in the right direction, off him. And what happened is everybody tried to aim him. And it got to the point where it's like, you know, we got to get rid of this guy because now he's aimed at us. You know what I mean? He's messing up our tail end. Not even worth it anymore. We'll go back to our old ratings and stuff. This guy's messing up the money. Make life easier.
What's great?
How is that any different than like Jesus?
Right. Well, what's great is that they undermine the head of the company even. Because he was like, oh no, I got him saying what I want to hear now. So I'm cool with him. And they're like, well, we're all going to lose our jobs, so let's get rid of him. I also just thought, I think because it's the 70s, the end with the narration and how it, like that final kind of tagline that makes the dark comedy kind of satire come up, I think that was added for that reason. I think it would have been way too dark if it just ended with him getting murked. And no, like, topic, you know, like, I think that's how they were able, like, this is satire, guys.
Yeah.
This is clearly not what's happening.
It bookends it. Yeah. It's almost like a warning before the movie starts with the narration. And then, like, a tagline, like, by the way, guys, this is not anybody.
It's not real life.
It's also funny because, like, you know, the way that the way that the narrator says it is, like, they're like, oh, we didn't kill him because he told the truth. We killed him because he had lousy ratings.
Yeah.
Like, if that's enough of a reason to kill someone, is that
lousy ratings? That's it. He was no more use.
I feel like there was one more. Anyway, well, let's go into final thoughts. We've kind of, I mean, that kind of delved into really breaking down the ending. But yeah, if you guys have any other final thoughts you'd like to say about the movie, I'll start with Steve.
So my final thought of this film is, if you have never heard of this film like myself, if you are interested in what's happening in the world, how media works, how television programming works, but by the way, it was called television programming because they were specifically programming people to behave and act a specific way, which this film completely explores. I feel like this is a must-watch for those type of people. Some people are not inclined into these type of subjects and stuff, that they might not like it or and stuff. But people that really enjoy film, enjoy good script writing, And just overall, like a really, really overall great movie. I recommend to all you guys. Like I said before, I'm going to be watching this movie a second time, probably a third time. It's great. It's great. It's a great movie for me to like. Those friends that are in that wavelength, I can like sit down and introduce them to this movie and be like, "Let's watch Network." And it's not like you go watch it by yourself. No, let's watch it together. I actually
Yeah, for sure.
enjoy watching this movie. So, final thoughts. Yeah, it's a great movie. Get your hands on it if you can watch it. It's a hidden gem in my opinion, just because Dino has heard it in some rap songs. I don't know which rappers he's listening to, but at least the rappers that I'm listening to, they don't talk about this, and I really enjoyed it. So that's my final thought.
Cool.
Nice. JP, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Like I said before, it's not necessarily my favorite movie. I'm surprised that it's like high up on a lot of people's lists. But to be quite honest, like it's still a great film. And I would definitely recommend this film to like those who are definitely news maniacs and like those who really like fucking swear to fucking news like reality TV. Because this movie basically shows that fucking dirty mirror is like, well, you know, at the end of the day, it's all just fucking business dollars and whatever. But like, yeah, definitely to those sort of folks. And like, I guess if you really love Robert Duvall, you're gonna love this movie as well. That man was old when he was young, and
Yeah.
he's old now.
It's a golden age where people are just like, yeah, I'm balding. It's just gonna be that.
And he
Like-
fucking owned it.
It's just like no plugs, no wigs. We're just going for it. Like,
And you better believe Robert Duvall was a lady killer. I don't have to know that to know that.
all right. Well, is that your final thought? Robert Duvall is a lady killer.
Pretty sure he was married also, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyhow, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Final thought.
My final thought. Just to reiterate, it's a movie that, like I said, it keeps getting better, man. It keeps getting better. It's on the AFI 100 list. So that's originally how I explored it. I was just making my way through the list, and I saw that thing. So it is one of those movies that I feel like every strong film buff would have seen for sure. Yeah, like strong cinema buffs probably have seen this because it's up there and it kind of shows up on lists a lot. So like the average person today may not have seen this movie, and I can understand that. I probably would have never seen it had it not been on that list. To be honest with you, I would have never found it. But I have seen it like on video stores and stuff in the past when I think back on it. So it's been around.
Yeah.
But I love the movie, man. It's fantastic. It's an acting class. It's a directing class. It's just a master class on how to make a piece of art, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's the beautiful writing and the timing and the rhythm and the actors, how they just kind of take it on, and the director, how he sort of orchestrates everything, and the camera movements. There's these super long camera movements for the 70s. You know, they weren't like the intense camera movements that like PT is doing. But I saw PT being inspired by this when I'm watching it. Somebody needs to ask him, like, hey, were you inspired by Network? He's like, yeah, I was inspired by Network.
For sure.
I don't think that's how he sounds, but I think
You know how he sounds. We were watching after Magnolia.
I don't know if that was a good impression, is what I mean. But I think and Sidney Lumet, I mean, oh my God, he's such. I forgot he directed this. And to the credits, I was like, oh my God, Sidney Lumet, like this is so dope. Like I forgot he even did it. Yeah, he was just a real freaking pro, a real gem.
Well, think about Magnolia and that whole game show part of the world that they were doing.
Yeah.
And backstage and like the conversations and how they were following them.
Television and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It was the same energy, man.
It was a very there was so many postmodern and just foreshadowing and all that. Is that it for your?
Yeah, I think so. Those are just my big takeaways, man. Just that acting is just, I mean, everything really, but the acting is just what sticks out to me the most because I don't think I've ever seen Faye Dunaway better, and she did win the Academy Award for this too.
So actually,
Very strong two ladies.
in my final thoughts, I was going to say it actually was the first posthumous Oscar Finch passed away.
Oh wow.
So that he was the first posthumous Oscar winner for actor in leading role. And and Faye Dunaway won, and the lady that played the wife also won for supporting actress, and
Best screenplay.
best screenplay and best picture. I mean,
they killed it, bro. They killed it.
yeah. So again, it's one that kept coming up. I think it doesn't have the sexiest of names, right? And maybe that's why I put this movie off so long. It was like network. It's like I don't want a network right now. I just want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
But it's a great film. Again, kind of like a masterclass. Just talking about it now, it's almost like I want to go and rewatch it because things you guys pointed out. I'm like, oh crap, I want to investigate that a little bit more. So yeah, I recommend definitely, like, if you like movies. Do you like movies? Do you like how TV shows are right now?
Then you might want to sign up for our new program right now. Dial 888-125-9978.
It is Sancho classes. No, it's like everything that happened with Bravo TV, with all these channels that kind of went towards reality TV. Things of how there's so many clips of so many different like talking head people that you look at back when they first started, like in the 90s or whatever, and they were on like a regular, normal like news journalist or whatever, and you can see their transformation into kind of what Beale became, right? So it's just such a great study into that, and hopefully seeing this, you can see of what is currently going on TV and in movies and stuff like that, and you can see the evolution of people, right? And this was able to capture all that in 2 hours. 2 hours flat. It captured what sometimes takes 10 to 20 years of seeing the evolution of a scumbag, if you will. So I would definitely recommend this to people that are interested in films, that just enjoy films, and definitely people that are interested in filmmaking. Like, I don't care what kind of, like, I'm just interested in horror. I was like, well, let's still watch this.
I would recommend this right next to The Godfather moving forward, honestly.
Woo! That should be the tagline right there.
Like, the more I think about it, I'm telling you, it's just as good. It's almost as good as The Godfather.
When did Godfather Part 2 come out? Was it
74 and 77, a year later?
Yeah, about 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you're looking for a good accompany piece, if you're doing like a double feature with this movie, might I recommend Gremlins 2?
I like it because it's in New York.
It's in New York, and they're in a network building.
There you go.
Except Network is the movie that would not have happened. It would have happened had the Gremlins invaded it.
And if you really want to go triple header, I think then you go into Anchorman and Anchorman 2, right? So
movies about network anchors.
There you go.
Hey, Steve, what do you got for us next week?
Next week, I don't know why you asking me in particular, because you already know. It's you, man. What's the movie?
My God. Me?
Yeah, you, Jason.
Well, I gave it some real consideration because, first rule is I couldn't have seen the movie before, and I was really inspired by Michaela's pick. I thought it was a very brave and audacious pick. I didn't see it coming. And so I
remind people what that was.
Oh, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. So I'm like, if we're doing cult movies from the 70s and I can't have seen it, I'm going with The Harder They Come.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Harder They Come. Cult classic. Never seen it. Takes place in Jamaica. That's all I know. So I guess we'll tune in next week and see what it is.
We'll find out.
I'm from the Caribbean, so anything from the Caribbean is a good 2 thumbs up from me. So that's for JP, Jason Echols, El Dondino, and Steve Des TV, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Pew, 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 pew.
Hello there. I am Steve Des from Oye Dimelo Network. don't forget to subscribe. And also, don't forget, you can literally click there or click there, and you watch more videos. Isn't that great?